Secretary Erwin Tulfo ay medyo naging personal ang ilang tanong sa kanya ng taga-Commission on Appointment kaugnay po sa kanyang confirmation bilang Secretary of DSWD. Magandang umaga, tanghali, gabi po sa inyo lahat. Nandito na naman tayo sa panibagong update, panibagong video. Sa hindi pa nakalike ng ating channel, hindi pa nakalike ng ating video, sa hindi pa nakasubscribe, sa hindi pa nakapalo ng ating Facebook page, papalo muna at maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
The personal pala kayo ng Philippine ng US Army. 1988 to 1992. Ang tanong ko lang ho, din-announce niyo ba yung inyong Filipino citizenship?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask for an executive session on this matter.
He's asking for an executive session to answer the question.
Okay, so may we skip that unless you have other questions, Honorable Malapitan?
Wala na, sige, yun na lang.
Okay, so the Honorable Secretary is requesting for an executive session. So will the members proceed first with asking other questions before we go to the executive?
Mr. Chair, just to formalize, there's a request motion for an executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Secretary, a follow-up to the question of my colleague, Congressman Malapitan. It's about your being an enlisted personnel of the United States Army for several years, and you have been in active military service stationed in Europe from 1992 to 1996. Correct me if I'm wrong, but to be an enlisted personnel in the U.S. Army, either you are a citizen by birth, meaning to say you are a U.S. citizen, or you have acquired U.S. citizenship by naturalization, or that you are a lawful permanent resident. Under what circumstances did you, what is the status of your citizenship when you were enlisted member of the U.S. Army and when you serve as an active military service station in Europe, sir?
Mr. Chair, with all due respect,
Senator Estrada.
Congressman Marcoleta, I think the good secretary has asked for the executive session with regard to your
Okay,
question.
okay.
Maybe
And
we can-
there's another
we can,
question.
jump to another question.
My other question, Mr. Secretary, also appears in the report of the commission. This is the PIR, the Profile Investigation Report, because it is indicated here that you were also convicted 4 times in the RTC in Pasay City. Is this still covered by the executive?
So it was centered only on the citizenship.
Okay.
Can I answer that, Your Honor, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please, Mr. Secretary.
That case is related to my profession as a journalist, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. There was a conviction, that's correct, but it is because of my line of work as a journalist. It's a libel, 4 counts of libel. Same individual, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
What does that exactly mean, Mr. Secretary, if you were convicted 4 times in a case involving a single individual?
No,
What do you- what
it's
do you-
not for convictions. Actually, it's the count, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, 4 counts of libel that I was convicted by the same individual. I was a columnist and I write a story about the person about the government official, actually. And I have my sources, and I was compelled by the court to divulge my sources, but I did not. So it went all the way up to the Court of Appeals and to the Supreme Court, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. And
Yes,
that's all.
that is exactly the point, Mr. Chair. There are 4 counts of libel, and you were convicted by the Pasay Court, and on appeal, the Court of Appeals affirmed the conviction all the way up to the Supreme Court. And so, by record, and as it appears in the file report, Mr. Secretary, it stands as a fact that you were convicted for counts of libel. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I admit that there was a case, but it was, like I said, in line with my work as a journalist, and it's one of the hazards of the trade, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Well, of course, you were precisely convicted because of your work. You are a journalist, but that does not change the situation. You can be convicted either way in any other vocation, but the fact stands that there is a conviction. The problem we're trying to press out here, Mr. Chair, is whether or not his conviction will be an issue in the process of confirmation, because as the Supreme Court enunciated in several cases, Mr. Chair, libel is an offense that involves moral turpitude. And in some other cases disposed by the Supreme Court, there were certain people who were disqualified from holding positions because they have been convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude. This is the dilemma, Mr. Secretary. Of course, I am in support of your confirmation as Secretary of DSWD, and I believe you have just succeeded in proving to our people that you are qualified. But this is a problem that we need to trace out, Mr. Chair. How do we dispose this dilemma before us? Because it is in the report. I could not have asked you this question, Mr. Secretary, if it did not appear in the report submitted to us by the Commission on Appointments. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, considering that there was a request and the line of questioning will be tackled within the executive session, since we are a collegial body, we have to tackle this as a group. So may I suggest and reiterate, Mr. Chair, that we proceed for an executive session. So move, Mr. Chair.
Okay, there's a motion duly seconded.
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Escudero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do take note of the comments of Congressman Marcoleta. However, I would like to state for the record as well that there are many pending bills, both in the House and in the Senate, to decriminalize libel. In fact, the visit by our own DOJ Secretary to the United Nations, that was in fact even suggested by the Canadian representative. And I myself am an author of a bill seeking to decriminalize libel. So if this would be taken against the nominee, and later on that bill is approved by Congress, I think it would be prejudicial, to say the least, and unfair if he would be taking that against him. Just for the consideration of the committee, Mr. Chairman, when we go into caucus later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Escudero. So the body would want to proceed to the executive session already, or
May tanong ako.
we still have Senator JV, Lani, Senator Estrada, and Senator Cheese who would want to ask questions. So what is the pleasure of the body?
Mr. Chair, my question is no relation to the two issues with regards to his case and his citizenship. It is regarding the program of the DSWD.
Okay, so
Mr.
there's a
Chair.
pending motion which has been duly seconded.
Yeah, to reiterate, there's an early request suggestion of our colleagues. I move to suspend the committee deliberation and proceed to have an executive session, Mr. Chair. And we can proceed with questioning after.
Okay, so there's a motion duly seconded. Any objection? Okay, we now have an executive session.
Members attending via WebEx platform to please stay on the online meeting room for the executive session.
And I would like to
So at yun nga mga idol, ano, at naging masyadong malalim yung naging katanungan ng Commission on Appointments, lalo na po si Congressman Marcoleta dito kay DSWD Secretary Erwin Tulfo.
The subject official declared that he has 10 children from several women. I suppose you had a very colorful love life, Secretary.
And ito mga idol, pati love life ni
There were 4
Secretary Erwin
who are the
Tulfo ay
mothers of
talagang
your, children. Are you still
kailangan na
involved
halongkatin
with the
dito
mothers?
sa Commission on Appointments. Ganito
We
pala sila
separated, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. Yes, we're in good terms. We're in talking terms, and including all my children. Some of them are the United States, and some are here, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Secretary, considering that in your line of work, the moment you're the Secretary of DSWD, and I suppose you'll be meeting a lot of women in your line of work, hindi po ba magiging sagabal sa trabaho mo yun na marami kang makikilalang babae?
It happened, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, when I was younger, when I was in the media. And as you grow old, you notice that you start to look differently in life, your perspective, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. When we are young, sir, we make mistakes. I mean, but I'm not ashamed to say that I made mistakes. And from that mistake, you have to make corrections and adjust. And you have to bring it all the way until you grow old, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
I manifest my full support to the Secretary. Although this is his first appointment as a government official, but I know very well that since he embarked on his program, he has been working for the several constituents in our country, and I believe that he will be an asset to the government considering his experience in public servant. I give my 100% support to the Secretary.
So yun mga idol, no, sa kaduluduluhan ay nakuha naman ni Secretary Erwin Tulfo yung suporta ng Commission on Appointments. So itong mga congressman and senators po natin na kasama dito sa panel ng Commission on Appointments ay nakuha naman po ni Secretary Erwin Tulfo ang kanilang suporta. Yun nga lang mga idol, ano, natatawa lang po tayo kasi pati itong love life ni Secretary Erwin ay nahalungkat pa. So, bilib na daw kay Secretary Erwin Tulfo dahil mayroon din siyang apat din yung kanyang naging love life. So, yung kanyang naging tawag ba dyan? Basta, naging apat din yung kanyang babae. And salat din kay Secretary Erwin. So, naging part din pala siya ng US military. So, ang galing. Ang galing. Ganda pala ng background ni Secretary Erwin Tulfo. So, dito lang po natin nalalaman. So, ito pala yung sinasabi nating top secret ni Secretary Erwin Tulfo ay nakalungkat dito sa pagdinig ng panel ng Commission on Appointment. So, yan po muna yung ating update. So, kung ano man po kasi yung background ni Secretary Erwin Tulfo, importante ay gagawin niya yung kanyang trabaho bilang secretary ng DSWD at tutulong sa ating mga kababayan. So, gaya nga nang nakita ko sa ilang comments, ang sabi ng ina, okay na nga yan kasi at least ginagawa niya yung kanyang trabaho ng maayos at siya lang ata yung matinong appointee o mano ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Hindi naman, marami namang matitino. Hindi nyo lang nakikita. Hindi lang masyadong expose sa media. Thank you guys.